However, a lot of churches out there are teaching this. They're teaching once saved, always saved. So what they're trying to say is we can't lose our salvation. Once we come out of that water, we've been born again. That salvation is forever. No matter what we do, right, we can't lose our salvation. Right, so no matter what we do on this earth, no matter the actions, right, the words we speak, right, there is no repenting, there is no, all we have to do is just believe and we're saved, right? So it says in the book of Acts chapter 16 verse 30, and I'm going to tie this in with, the whole once saved, always saved, right? Paul and Silas are rocking up to that gentleman's door, and, the gentleman answers the door, and, he says, what must I do to be saved? What is it? What must I do to be saved? And Paul says, if you believe, right, if you believe on Christ, right, you and your household, you will be saved. So he's saying, if you believe, right, that's all you have to do. But you see, brothers and sisters, that type of belief that Paul's referring to is a different type of belief that we believe in this Western philosophical society, right? So we've been all, programmed and accustomed to this psychological way of believing, right? So if we say that we believe something, right, we believe that that exists. But you see, in the Eastern Hebrew type of mindset, that Eastern Hebrew type of mindset where that type of belief, when they believe something, right, that means that they take those words, right, and they have full belief, full trust, and full obedience, in those words, right? It becomes a way of life. So it's more action-based. It's more, when you believe something from the Eastern type of mindset, it's a obedience type of belief, right? So that type of belief there is a different type of belief to this Western, philosophical, type of belief, that all of us have been accustomed to. That's not to say all of us are from the Westernized world that may be watching this. But for the large part, and we see the church paradigm, the church construct that we see out there in the Western world teaches us, the importance of just believing, right? And you see, this is a great misconception out there because a lot of people are getting this misconstrued with those original words. So this once saved, always saved ideology, right, that a lot of these churches, not all, but a lot of these churches out there are teaching people, they are taking Paul's words, and they are twisting Paul's words. They are making Paul's words say, what they want them to say, right, through the tip of the snake, right, the head of the snake. And through this mainstream church, construct that we see out there, we can see a lot of these teachings are being misconstrued.